What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're back with another video. So, in a matter of 2 weeks, we have an all-out Mexican showdown taking place in Arizona, Glendale to be exact. We have Emmanuel El Vaquero Navarrete looking to unify his WBO title. His first unification fight. He's held the world titles in 3 different weight classes, and this is actually his first time that he's gonna look to unify his championship belt against another fellow Mexican champion. Recently came onto the scenes. Recently, his name started to be mentioned. I'm gonna say, for myself, I'm gonna say that I started to hear from his name or of his name, maybe a year ago. I'm gonna say last year, maybe late 2024 was when I started to hear, the name of Sugar Núñez, of Eduardo Sugar Núñez, the other champion that's gonna be putting up his IBF title on the line against Navarrete. And man, any Mexican or any Mexican fan knows that when two Mexican fighters get in the ring, you're gonna get a great fight. And I'm sure any fan knows that whenever there's two Mexican fighters in the ring, you're gonna expect a great fight. You're gonna expect a war. You're gonna expect a fight, a back and forth fight. It's never gonna be a boring fight whenever there's two Mexicans in the ring facing each other. Going back to the going back to the old days that we had. I can give you many examples where two Mexican fighters got in the ring and they fought it out. Of course, the two fighters that are mostly named for being in there would be Marco Antonio Barrera versus Eric Morales. Um, other rivalries with Mexican fighters like Israel Vasquez versus Rafael Marquez. And of course, if we go maybe a little farther back, we can point out to Julio Cesar Chavez fighting Jose Luis Ramirez. So, man, whenever you get two Mexican fighters in the ring, expect fireworks, expect a great fight, expect an exciting fight, because it's that heart, that blood, that determination comes out when you're gonna expect the war. Expect I'm gonna say maybe a blood fest. It's you will see a great fight. It'll be a fight full of action. It'll be an action packed fight, and man, I'm excited. I'm actually gonna be there. So I know I normally say whenever I attend boxing events or whenever I visit boxing gyms, I normally say that it's gonna be a surprise. But this time, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know now. I'm gonna be attending the Navarrete versus Nunez fight. It's my third fight that I attend of Navarrete. I was there for the first Oscar Valdez fight, and then I went to the Baranchik fight in San Diego. So it'll be my third Navarrete fight that I attend. And the other part of the title, it says that the Mexican Wars might be back on, and it might be. I mentioned a couple fighters, a couple Mexican fighters that got in the ring with one another, and it was fireworks. It was a war. Marco Antonio Barrera versus Eric Morales, the trilogy. I believe another trilogy, or if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was 4 fights between Israel Vasquez and Rafael Marquez, and of course Marquez versus Juan Manuel Marquez versus Marco Antonio Barrera. We always got fireworks and we always got drama. That's what happens when two Mexican fighters get in the ring. You see fireworks, you see a war, you see action, and that's what's gonna happen again. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the first two fighters who actually reignited the Mexican Wars, it might have been Oscar Valdez versus Miguel Berchelt. A couple years ago, it was during the pandemic. During when fights were taking place in the bubble, Valdez ended up getting knocked out of the year against Miguel Berchelt. Um, Going forward, a couple years after, we got to see the first Navarrete versus Valdez fight. Then they ended up having the rematch, and now Navarrete is getting in there with another Mexican fighter in Eduardo Sugar Nunez. So to break down the fight, I just finished watching a couple rounds of Nunez against if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. I believe it's Rakhmedov, if I recall correctly. And his most recent fight against a common opponent that he has with Vaquero Navarrete, which is Chris Diaz. So analyzing both fighters, we can there's no way to describe Navarrete's style. Very awkward, very messy. That's a no no when it comes to teaching fighters the basics. When it comes to developing a fighter, you tell them to do the complete opposite of what Navarrete does in there. But sometimes doing something can be so wrong that it's so right for that individual because it works for that specific person only. And I think that's the case with Navarrete. Very awkward, very messy. He lunges in with uppercuts. He'll throw windmills, but hey, man, it's been effective for him. It's gotten him to win titles in three different weight classes, to have victories over fighters like Oscar Valdez and another tough fighter in Joey Gonzalez and Chris Diaz, of course. So man, like I said, it's all wrong on paper. Everything that he does is wrong, but it's all right for him because it works. There's not too many awkward fighters like that that have an awkward style, but it can be effective for them. I can name a few. One that I could think of would be, of course, Ricardo Mayorga. He was very awkward and effective for him. He ended up getting good wins against a good, good opposition like Fernando Vargas. Um, Man, I have this fighter's name in the back of my head and it just went away. Give me 1 second, guys. Wow, Vernon Forrest. Sorry, guys. Against Vernon Forrest, against Andrew Lewis. So he ended up getting good wins. He obviously took a lot of beatings during his career against De La Hoya, Trinidad, Mosley, etc. But I guess that's one fighter that I can name where his style was effective enough for him to be some good caliber opponents and to also become a world champion. Another fighter that I could think of, Brazilian fighter Acelino Freitas. Again, awkward fighter. However, again, very effective for him. Getting him to win four world titles in two different weight classes. So there's always those few fighters that have awkward styles that you could say that you could point out many flaws, and at the end of the day, it works for them. So Navarrete is one of those guys where, man, he has a messy style. He has a style that you can't really prepare for. You can't really train for. It's nearly impossible to find a sparring partner for an upcoming opponent of Navarrete to be able to prepare him to fight Navarrete's style. So it's effective for him, and I think that's something that plays in his favor because I don't like I said, it's nearly impossible for anybody to get ready for that kind of style. You would say, oh, he lunges in, we're gonna catch him when he's coming in by getting under his shots and throwing hooks with them, and it's never really seemed to work. The only other fighter that was able to neutralize him and to be successful against him was Denis Berenchek back in 2024 in San Diego. But other than that, like I said, any other fighter who has stepped in there has received a brutal beatdown, whether it was Oscar Valdez, Joe Gonzalez, Liam Wilson, Pitufo Diaz. Nobody was able to withstand the aggression of Navarrete. And this time around, I think I'm expecting him to come out victorious. Analyzing Sugar Núñez. Like I mentioned, I just finished watching a couple of his fights, couple rounds. Um, he's the shorter fighter. Out of the two, whenever he's competing, he's physically the smaller opponent. Shorter opponent, shorter. He has a shorter reach than or a lesser of a reach when it comes to the arm length. And Vaquero has long arms. There's no discussing that. So looking at the way that he was fighting, I see that sometimes Sugar likes to stay on the outside, and if he stays on the outside or at distance or a long distance with Navarrete, it's gonna be a long. It could be a long night and very punishable night for him, or it could be a very short night where Navarrete's gonna catch him with those windmills and with those long uppercuts. He's Sugar Núñez is there to be hit just like Navarrete. They like to duke it out. They like to bang and brawl it all out. But based on the styles, I do see Navarrete winning. I do see Navarrete coming out victorious. I do see him, if anything, potentially being able to stop Sugar Núñez and possibly hurt him before the final bell rings. Um, like I said, if anything, you could consider Sugar Núñez being a big puncher, but quality also counts over quantity. Sure, he's got, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it would be 29 fights with like 28 or 27 knockouts, only one defeat. But again, who were those opponents that he knocked out? If we look at resume wise, Navarrete, I would say that he has a better resume. He's fought better competition. Um, Sugar Nunez is gonna be the smaller fighter again, if anything, smaller and shorter than Oscar Valdez, shorter arms than Oscar Valdez. So I do see Navarrete coming up victorious. I do see Navarrete, like I said, potentially even hurting him and stopping him before the final bell rings. But as long as the fight lasts, it's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be an action-packed fight. And I expect and I recommend all of you to tune in because you do not want to miss this. It's gonna be, like Triple J used to say, it's gonna be a big drama show. So, man, tune in, y'all, because you don't want to miss this. Two Mexican fighters putting it all on the line, unification match, and the winner should unify against who I believe is the other, great fighter, great champion in the weight class, Oshaki Foster. The winner of this fight should unify against Oshaki Foster for a 3 title unification. And that was it for this video, guys. Like I said, I will be attending the Navarrete versus Núñez fight in Arizona, and you guys know what I do when I attend fights. I'm gonna be bringing you guys behind the scenes. I'm gonna be recording the ring walks. I'm gonna be showing you guys bits and pieces of the fights inside the arena. So you guys stay tuned for that because I will be dropping that video. All right, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.